Hello everyone, it's Melissa from Illuminate Guidance. I am also the host of the Own Your Inner Authority Facebook group for women, and if you're not already in there, I hope you'll join us. I'm going to take a moment to share this in our group right now so that we can get started here. I want to talk a little bit today about how we diagnose the nature of the challenges we're facing. You know, I was inspired by talking to some of my friends from the Kansas Leadership Center over this past week, and really this comes down to one of the foundational concepts that I learned there that has made so much difference in my leadership development, and also I hope will be useful to you because after all, owning your inner authority is really mostly about being a leader in your own life. And so I'm going to share this into my group here. And we'll get started. Okay, so I've got a little bit of stuff up here on the board to help get us started. And what we're talking about is defining the difference between technical and adaptive challenges. And technical challenges are easy to recognize. You either know how to solve them pretty much, you know, off the top of your head, or you can access an expert who knows how to solve them. So these are things like, you know, if you break your arm, you go to the doctor. If you get the blue screen of death on your computer, you take it in and you have a technical expert to fix it. And we'll talk a little bit about the nature of those problems here in a second. Adaptive challenges are about really challenging beliefs, priorities, habits, and loyalties for a compelling purpose. So any of those challenges that are wicked and sticky, and you try a lot of things and it takes time and you feel like you're banging your head against the wall and you can't solve them easily, are probably more in the realm of adaptive challenges. And the reason this is important is because the way we approach these challenges is very different based on their nature. And what we look at is the nature of the problem itself, the nature of the solution itself, whose work it is to solve the problem, the type of work required, the timeline of the work, the expectations, and the overall attitude. So if we're dealing with a technical problem, say, you know, your computer goes dark, it's completely fried, you've got a presentation, you know, the next day, and you've got to figure out what to do with it. So in this case, as with all technical problems, the nature of the problem is clear, right? I mean, obviously my computer died, I've got to get someone to fix it. There really isn't much question about that. The nature of the solution is also clear, right? I'm not a technical expert in computer repair. If I was, then I would be able to fix it, and that would be my technical fix. Since I'm not, I'm going to have to take it in and have someone look at it and have an expert fix it. The work is the work of an expert or some kind of an authority on the issue, right? Because it's out of my level of skill to fix it myself. Okay, the type of work is typically fairly efficient. So when I take my computer in, they have a process. They go through the diagnostics. They say, this is what it is. This is how much it's going to cost. Here's what we're going to do. And you are reasonably assured that, you know, they've got an efficient way to deal with it and that it will be fixed within a timeline that is as soon as possible, right? or very well defined, okay? The expectation, of course, is that the problem is going to be fixed, right? I've got my diagnosis, I've paid, I've got my timeline, I've got the expert working on it. I'm gonna get my computer back and it's gonna be fixed. And the attitude with which we approach this problem is one of confidence and skill. So even if I'm not confident in my own ability to fix my computer, I'm confident that the person I hired to work on it is going to fix the problem, right? Okay, so this is the nature of a technical problem. The problem is clear, the solution is clear, it's the work of experts or authorities to fix it. The type of work is efficient, the timeline is soon, the expectation is that the problem is going to be fixed, and the attitude is I'm fairly confident. Someone's got the skills. If I don't have them, someone has the skills to get this done, right? Okay, so going over here to the adaptive side of our chart, let's talk about the nature and the way that we work through those problems. So say I go to the doctor and discover that I have high blood pressure, right? Okay, so in this case, the problem requires learning. So I have high blood pressure. In that instance, it's clear, but what to do about it? Am I eating too much salt? Am I needing to be more active? Am I not managing my stress well? Okay, so I've got to learn. I've got to think about what is the nature of the problem. And the solution also requires learning. So the doctor, the technical expert, can tell me I have high blood pressure. I can see the numbers. I can say, yeah, this is a problem. But what to do about it? Do I need to fix my stress levels? You know, say I start there. Well, how do I make more time in my day to have self-care? How do I manage, you know, my other commitments, and what do I need to let go of? You know, all of these things. Like, I'm gonna have to really do a little bit more work to discover that solution. Okay, so the work in this instance is the work of stakeholders. So, you know, rarely are we addressing these things in a vacuum. You know, the doctor is a stakeholder, I'm a stakeholder, my family might be a stakeholder. They might need to pick up, you know, some of the household chores so I can have more time to take care of myself. They might have to adapt to, you know, a different kind of diet that has less salt or less fat, you know, those kinds of things. There are a lot of people involved and not just the expert or the authority figure. The timeline, let's see. Oh, the type of work. The type of work is experiments and smart risks, right? So if I decide I'm going to work on managing my stress better, I'm going to do things like, you know, maybe I'll give up a volunteer commitment and that was just causing me stress that I don't really have to do. Maybe I will take a yoga class and just breathe through my stress and learn some skills to do that. Maybe I will go for a walk during my lunch hour and maybe try to alleviate some of my stress during the workday. So I'm experimenting and I'm taking some smart risks to try to solve this problem that requires learning. So I'm doing some things and I'm trying to see if I can make progress. And oftentimes, you know, maybe I'll have a good week and I'll be managing my stress and I'll be watching my blood pressure numbers and they'll look pretty good. And then the next week, something really stressful happens that's out of my control and I've got to start back at the beginning. So I'm continually learning, I'm continually experimenting, I'm continually gathering data to say, did this work? You know, am I making progress here? And that is why the timeline on an adaptive challenge is longer because of the nature of discovery and experimentation in trying to find these solutions. It's just going to take a little bit longer. And the expectation, while, you know, the end game is I want to fix my blood pressure, I want that number to go within the normal range. What I really am looking at through the process is, am I making progress? So am I feeling less stressed? Can I see a slight decrease in the numbers when I do my blood pressure reading? Those kinds of things, that the expectation as I'm learning, as I'm experimenting, as I'm working with all the stakeholders, is that I want to see some progress, and I'm going to spend a long time in progress before I can actually say, yeah, the challenge has been fixed. And the attitude in an adaptive challenge is curiosity. We have to get very curious when we are in this process of working through an adaptive challenge. You know, what's going on with, is it my diet? Is it my exercise? Is it my stress levels? Is it something else? Can I try this? Can I try that? What does this mean? What does that mean? Just continually asking really smart questions of myself. Taking experiments, taking smart risks, trying to figure out how I can make and track progress along the way is the nature of how we go about working through an adaptive challenge. And in our culture, it's fairly common that we will find ourselves very frustrated a lot of the time because we tend to approach most challenges as though they're technical. And we get really frustrated with ourselves when things take longer and we're not seeing that we fixed the problem, but we're forgetting to check that we made progress. We are wanting things to be super efficient and fast and all of that. And really, you know, we need to spend some time experimenting, and we can't always trust an expert, and we can't always rely on our own expertise to fix something. Sometimes we have to engage other people in order to tackle these tough challenges. And so, you know, this is important in life because when you have a big, hairy challenge that's adaptive in nature, that you start to feel frustrated and you start to feel like, you know, there's no end in sight, that you're failing at fixing it, I think it's really important to broaden your view of what levers you can pull, what kinds of things you can use, and how you can change your perspective to give yourself a little bit more ease and grace throughout the process. So how can you see this as a process where I am learning, as a process where I am making progress, as a process that's going to take a little bit longer, as a process that's going to maybe require me to engage a few more people? Because really what this is about is changing priorities, beliefs, habits, and loyalties for a compelling purpose. And as we know, habits and beliefs, loyalties are hard to change. But if we have a compelling purpose, it is possible. And if you are, you know, working through this by yourself and finding that you are not able to hold space for yourself and to make progress and to, you know, design those experiments and smart risks in order to get yourself on that path of progress, coaching can help. So if I can be a resource for you, that is what we do in coaching, is we look at experiments and smart risks. We gather data. We become very curious about the problem in order to open up new possibilities, and we celebrate your progress along the way. So if I can help you, I'd love to get on a free breakthrough call with you. I've got my call link up at the top of this video, and welcome you to book a call. I hope you have a beautiful evening. Good night.